All right, welcome back, everyone. Peak Performance Podcast, episode 3. Back with my co-host, Shane Kelly. Um, a lot to talk about right now in the world of sports. We've got uh, NCAA basketball, March Madness right around the corner, obviously. This week we've got conference tournaments coming up, and we've also got NFL free agency going on. Right now, we've got live updates coming for you guys. And yeah, it should be pretty fun. And then also, we're going to get into some sports psychology stuff, talk about performance anxiety, growth and fixed mindset. And yeah, it should be fun. So Shane, how you doing, buddy?
I'm
How
doing
you doing?
great. I'm doing great. Can we just take a
hmm
second and talk about how good of a sports scene there is in March?
Yeah, it's really
We
nice.
got
It
NBA
really
playoffs
is.
around the corner, NHL playoffs around the corner, MLB season around the corner.
hmm
NCAA basketball is crazy. NFL offseason crazy. March
Oh
is the
yeah.
best. I love this month. So let's get into it.
It, it's it's just an exciting time for sure. And it's kind of weird because you have the Super Bowl and then there's a little bit of a dead period. But this year we had the Four Nations to kind of like cover that area a little bit.
Four Nations helped out a
Um,
lot in covering that gap,
yeah.
but we're officially out of the gap.
Oh
It's
yeah.
sunny, it's beautiful. We got sports.
Yeah.
I love
That's
it.
great. Alrighty, so I think first we're going to get into our sports psychology topics for today. We're going to be talking about performance anxiety and arousal levels and the importance of that for athletes. We'll also talk about growth and fixed mindset, which is something that we've been talking about, especially in our coaching class um, lately. And obviously, Dr. Wade Gilbert giving us a lot of good insight on that, man. He's great at what he does.
Gotta love
And then
Wade.
also, yeah, we're going to talk about some talent development stuff too. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, anxiety is a big topic nowadays, it seems like. Way back when mental health wasn't really addressed, especially when you look at it for athletes and performers. But I think anxiety is just, we've talked about it and it's not good or bad. And I think that people give it such a negative reputation that it almost like sucks them into thinking that like they can't use their anxiety in a good way to be able to perform well. Um, Looking back at my career as an athlete, um, I think I did at times let anxiety overwhelm me to the point where I didn't perform well. But after going through it, you kind of find ways where that anxiety can turn into excitement and sort of energize you to perform better, for sure.
We've talked about this before. The feeling of anxiety and the feeling of excitement are so similar. You can
hmm
kind of trick your brain into thinking one is the other. I know some elite athletes have talked about in the topic of anxiety. They like feeling anxious because it's them proving to themselves that they care heading into a
Yeah.
matchup.
hmm
And I mean, if you're feeling zero anxiety, you're not going to perform at your best.
hmm
You need some there. Now, obviously, if it gets too high, it's going to lead to a decrease in performance, but anxiety as a whole serves a purpose in elite athletes, in amateur athletes when it comes to performance. You need some,
hmm
you need to find that nice middle ground there.
For sure. And I think that, we talk about stress as it's related to anxiety. I think that stress can really come from, like we've said before too, lack of preparation. That's a big thing. And when you're stressed out about that, that can cause a lot of anxiety, feeling like you're not good enough against the competition that you're going up against if you're playing, whether it's a team sport or an individual sport. Um, it's pretty crazy too. Like you talk about all the anxiety nowadays with all the social media and all of the things athletes go through. You look at football and brain injuries, how much does that have to do and have an effect on, those guys' mental health, especially after they're done playing too. Um, but I think that anxiety, when you're trying to perform, anxiety can come from lack of preparation from stress, or it can also just come from not really having a routine to set you up to be successful. And I think that once you get a routine down, like a pregame routine down before you play, and it helps you perform well, that sort of the moments like 2 to 3 hours before your game to be able to get mentally ready and focused and know that you have that space to be able to perform well on the field and to be able to prepare yourself mentally. I think that's probably one of the most important things for athletes to have in order to decrease their performance anxiety if they're having too much and to be able to turn it into excitement and positive anxiety.
And I'm coming from my own perspective. I think that's why I never really struggled with performance anxiety. I was very routine based. My routine would start the
Mhm.
night before. Like I would eat the same thing. I would do the same things. I would go to bed at the same time. And there were games where I had that like pre-game jitter, but I never viewed that
Hmm.
as anxiety. I viewed that like I was ready to go.
Yeah,
It was more excitement in my eyes. And I think the routine had a big part in that. One thing,
absolutely.
it is important to recognize that we've talked about anxiety can be good and bad. It's really both and neither. You need some, but too much can be
Hmm.
overbearing.
Yep.
I think that perfectly ties into what we call the optimal level of functioning. Every athlete is going to have a different preferred anxiety level. Some athletes, it's going to be very small. They want to feel little to no anxiety going into a game. Others are going to be able to manage a lot more. And if they don't have any, their performance won't be good. So I think it's important to recognize as an athlete where you kind of fall on that and where
Hmm.
you need to be heading into a match.
Hmm. Yeah, I think when you talk about high arousal levels for a game, low arousal levels before a game, I was always a low guy. I like to, you know, listen to music, and it wasn't like I was listening to, heavy metal or like extreme rap and I'm bopping my head or anything. It's like I sort of like to stay calm and I would go and take a cold shower and meditate a bit. And that was sort of like the things that I did to help me prepare mentally for the games. But I know I've played with some guys where it's the complete opposite. They got to be fucking dancing around excuse my language, they got to be dancing around in the locker room, like, and doing all sorts of stuff, but they play well. So it's like you got to find that optimal level where you know that it's going to help you to be able to perform at your best.
I was going to say, I could not have been more different from you.
Hmm.
If I was calm, I played terribly.
Hmm.
I learned probably around my sophomore year of high school that in order for me to play at my best, I either had to hit somebody or get hit.
Sure.
So I would purposely put myself in situations to get run over or to hit
Hmm.
somebody just because it like flipped a switch and allowed me to reach that high arousal level that I needed to be
Hmm.
at in order to play at my best.
Yeah, so I had a teammate at Rhode Island. His name's Stavros Serakostas. He's playing professionally down in Knoxville right now in the USL. And he was the same exact way, but he would, and I don't know if you're talking about this too, but like he would do it in the game where he would have to like smash somebody in the first 5 to 10 minutes
Oh yeah, that's how I
to set
was.
the tone, set the tone and set the physicality for the game. And that's what got him honed in. And it almost happened every single match. Like
That was
he's taken
me.
a hard foul on the other team in order to get into his space, and
It
his
also
his optimal
helps.
level.
A lot of refs are scared to give a yellow that early in the game,
Oh yeah,
so
for
you can get
sure.
away with a lot more.
Uh-huh. Absolutely.
I think that is a good segue into our growth and fixed mindset talent identification.
Hmm.
So, as we've mentioned him many times before, Dr. Wade Gilbert, he mentioned something in our class last week to describe growth and fixed mindset, and I had never heard it coined in this way. So I just recorded it, thought it'd be nice to share. Having a fixed mindset would be an athlete proving their ability. Basketball player goes onto a gym floor, they know what they're good at. That's what they're going to do to show to others, hey, I'm good. Growth mindset is improving your ability. Same basketball player steps on the court, they recognize that they have a weakness, maybe with their left hand finishing at the rim. So when they go in the gym, they work on that repeatedly. That way, in high pressure situation, game on the line, that is not holding them back. They're growing as a player. And just
Hmm.
that concept was foreign to me. I'd never heard it described that way, and I just loved it.
Yeah, I think when we talk about growth and fixed mindset, especially like in terms of youth sports, um, I think it's really important for coaches to be able to instill that in their players. Like, I think with a growth mindset, you have to be really, really internal with yourself and look at your strengths and weaknesses and focus on what you have to get better at rather than focusing on your teammates and trying to prove to them that you're one of the best in your team, or when you're out playing a game, trying to prove that you're way better than your competition, which you should be trying to do every game. But the point is, like, you got to be able to look inside and say, hey, I got to focus on how do I become a better player, teammate, athlete that will help propel, whether you're playing a team sport or an individual sport, propel your performance to be able to win and succeed. I think with a fixed mindset, like you said, it's proving your ability where you're so focused on other people and what they think about you, you're not able to spend the time to really internalize your thoughts and really focus on the things that you need to improve on as an athlete. And I think that really stems from coaches. I look back at the coaches that I had when I played academy soccer in high school, and the coaches that instilled that every day was a process and you needed to do little things to get better at. And, like when we're going through our warm-ups and stuff, you should be thinking about a couple of things that you want to work on today to get better at. Helping athletes focus on themselves internally can help so much with their mindset and also as it relates to anxiety as well. When you're not focused on what other people are thinking about you and how they're judging you as an athlete, as a player, it's less anxiety. You're focused on yourself. You're focused on what you got to work on to help the team get better.
It does take a lot of awareness, and at a youth level, that is tough to see.
Hmm.
You have to recognize your own holes in your game Now, you brought up coaching. It would help if a coach pulled you off to the side and is like, I'm noticing you're weak in this area. And they can go about it respectfully. That's not an insult. It's like, you're weak in this area. You will benefit. The team will benefit. I will benefit if you work on this.
Hmm.
And coaches allowing players to make a mistake in practice. I had coaches that you made a mistake in practice and it was like the world was ending.
Yeah.
And that's just not a
Yeah.
healthy atmosphere for growth.
No.
You improve by failing repeatedly until you no longer fail.
Mhm.
That's why, guys, we always bring up Kobe and Michael Jordan on this podcast.
Yeah.
How many times do you think those guys failed in a gym? Did
Far too many.
thousands, hundreds of thousands?
Oh yeah.
And that's what allowed them to get to the spot that they did.
Yeah. When they were failing, they were so focused on what they needed to work on in order to achieve greatness that ultimately propelled them to be able to outperform everything external, you know? And yeah, I think that when it comes to coaching too, I think a lot of it has to do with trust. As a coach, you got to get your players to trust you. And I think that when I look back at my years in high school, I had a coach, U15, it was like my sophomore year of high school. And he told me, hey, if you want the team to get better as a goalie, you have to get better with your feet. And so when I was practicing with the team, I was always doing the field player drills all the time. But ultimately, I saw how much of effect it had on our team because at first we stunk, but our coach was trying to really instill a system that was pretty complicated. But once it was like 2 to 3 months in, we got pretty good at it and got some good results. But yeah, you got to be able to have trust in your coach. And the way that happens is they give you a weakness. So in my case, it was my feet back then. Couldn't pass the ball too well, and I needed to improve on my distribution. And then when you start improving on that and you see the effect that it has on your team, that builds the trust with you and your coach because clearly he knows what he's talking about, right? It's that simple. And so I think, yeah, in terms of developing youth athletes, the relationship between the coach is so important in order to instill mindsets because not a lot of these kids have as much awareness when they're so young. They don't really know, exactly like what's going on in the sport
Yeah.
and how they can improve.
I think a common misconception in sport is that if you're successful, you're talented at one level, one age, it's going to directly associate with success and talent later on. But the only way to achieve that is through having a growth mindset, improving on your weaknesses, and not just trying to prove the ability you already have. Like somebody, how many times do we see, oh, Manchester City have this 12-year-old in their academy, absolute phenom. He's the best player in the world at that age. No success at the highest level.
Yep.
Happens all the time. Because just because you're great at one age doesn't mean you're going to be great at another. The ones that will be
Hmm.
great at the highest level are the ones that are continuously trying to improve with time.
Hmm.
Like, all right, I'm weak in this area. Let's address it. Let's work on it. Let's get better. All right, now I'm weak in this area. Address it, improve it, get better. It's not the
Hmm.
people that are great at 5 years old.
Um, if anybody right now is hearing the garbage truck in my neighborhood, I apologize for that. But yeah, love everything that we've talked about. And yeah, performance anxiety, growth fixed mindset, it's such a big part of sports psychology as a whole, and getting athletes into the right mental headspace to be able to perform. We've had quite a few free agency signings going on here.
I
We
was
got
gonna bring those
Justin
up.
Fields going to the New York Jets. I think we're going to start to transition now into talking about sports a little bit more, and the current events going on in the sports world. Justin Fields heading to the New York Jets. You've also got Sam Darnold heading to the Seattle Seahawks as well. Pretty interesting quarterback carousel going on. And yeah, gonna be honest, it's interesting. Like, you look at teams now like the New York Giants who still don't have anybody.
They
Does
got Tommy
Aaron
DeVito.
Rodgers does Aaron Rodgers go to does he go to the Giants? Maybe does he go to the Steelers? Who
I
knows?
I think he lands in Minnesota.
You like him there?
I think he follows the exact Brett Favre train.
Okay.
Green Bay, Jets, ending his career in Minnesota. Minnesota needs a quarterback, and let's just be honest, that would be the funniest thing ever.
Hmm.
If he just
And,
followed the
and
career path of the guy whose job he took.
yeah. And it's unbelievable, like you think about how quickly it can turn around for quarterbacks. You know, you look at Aaron Rodgers, 2 years with the Jets, it just flies by. No type of success whatsoever. You look at Kirk Cousins going to Atlanta, no type of success whatsoever. Then they're just moving on, and you
It's
gotta find you
you're
gotta
just
find
gone.
another team. You gotta find another team. But yeah, it's been pretty crazy so far. We got some big signings for sure.
Love
Um,
that deal for Justin Fields, though.
I do too.
I'm
Oh,
not I'm not done on Justin Fields. I think he is extremely talented and
hmm
deserves a starting opportunity. I think we
hmm
discussed it on maybe the first episode. He went 4-2 as a starter in Pittsburgh, and then they benched him.
Yeah,
He went four and
he's a
two.
good quarterback.
He's
Yeah,
not
I think he
bad.
is.
Give him a shot.
Experienced, played in big time games at the college level too. Like, should have beat Georgia that one year. He balled out against them when he was at Ohio State, and I think he's matured and aged well. Some guys it takes them time to come into the league a little bit and learn, certain things and transition, but I think that's a great deal for sure.
I mean, he
We'll
has
see. We'll see how dynamic that offense is, and obviously Aaron Glenn now there leading the way for the Jets. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Justin Fields, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson.
Pretty good, man.
That's a young trio of elite talent. But
Huh?
Justin Fields has an ability that I think the only person in the league that's better than him is Lamar Jackson. His
Yep.
ability to run as a quarterback is unmatched by anybody besides the MVP.
Yep.
But I love it. Hopefully the Jets don't sign somebody else and just put Justin Fields as a backup. That would actually make me upset if they did exactly what Pittsburgh did. But
hmm
we'll see. Crazy morning in the
And
NFL.
yeah, I mean, we got a lot going on here for sure. Let me pull up this.
I don't know what is going on with Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle's they kind of seemed like they were doing a bit of a rebuild.
But now are they?
Don't really know, to be quite honest. I mean,
Like I can't tell. I thought they were blowing up the team, like you said, going through a rebuild, see where they lie in 2 to 3 years.
mhm.
They trade DK Metcalf, who said he wanted to be in a warm climate with a stable quarterback and goes to Pittsburgh. That makes
That was
sense.
hilarious. And here's another thing too. I'm going to be honest with you. If a guy says he wants to go somewhere with warm weather. I don't know if I'm signing that guy.
Honestly, I agree.
Like, you're telling me you're soft. Just out of the blue, you're telling me you're soft. Is that not an indication of like, hey, I want to play in more? You know what? Benefit of the doubt. He has been in Seattle, and the
But
weather's
Seattle's
miserable
not
there.
that. It's not that
Uh,
cold.
yeah, no, but it's cloudy all the time. So maybe he
Yeah.
wants to go somewhere sunny, you know? But still, like, there's been guys that have said that before too, and it's like, I don't know if I would like to sign a guy that says that.
It
Like,
seems like he
you
just
got to
wants to
be able to
vacation.
play.
He wants to hang
Yeah,
out,
exactly.
chill.
Exactly. Like, I don't know, man. But yeah, get shipped to Pittsburgh. That's pretty chilly, I'll tell you that. Pretty chilly, pretty
I
snowy,
mean, he does
and
fit that AFC North
does
mentality.
fit does fit the Steeler personality for
It's
sure.
the AFC
Absolutely.
North is
Bully ball.
exact that worded perfectly.
Hmm.
And how many times has DK just gotten into a fight with a random cornerback on the sideline,
Yep,
like
sure.
50 yards away from the action?
Hmm.
It's who he is. Him and George Pickens together is a great 1-2.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like
And
objectively, that is great.
I guess we can assume now that it's going to be either Russ or Aaron Rodgers throwing to them, I guess, right? That seems like the only
I
couple
would
of
think so,
options.
but George Pickens hates Russ.
Yeah, it seems like that. But
But
like
did
bringing
DK
in Aaron
overlap
Rodgers,
with Russ?
yes, yeah, he did.
I couldn't
Remember
remember
the
when.
yeah, remember the video when they drafted him and Pete Carroll was like, "You're going to be catching footballs from Russell Wilson."
Okay, yeah. I couldn't
Yeah,
think of what year DK came in the league, but I mean, that's a reunion.
yeah,
That would lead me to believe it's going to be Russ with the starting job moving forward.
I would think so too.
But George
And
Pickens
that
hates him.
leaves,
So
yeah, I mean, it is what it is though. I think George Pickens hates everybody, so I mean, he's just a fiery guy, man. Great receiver though. Great receiver. He's so
freak
talented.
athlete.
Yeah.
His draft, the picture on draft day of him watching the TV of him getting drafted with the ski mask on is one of my
Hmm.
favorite photos of all time.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's hilarious. I love him. Couple
Yeah.
other moves. Devontae Adams to the Rams
Yeah, pretty interesting. Obviously,
makes
there's
no
been a lot
sense.
of noise. There's been a lot of noise around LA with Cooper Kupp moving on, where he's gonna go. Um, but yeah, I mean, Devontae's still pretty good, you
My
know.
thing is, the Rams said they didn't want to pay a 30-year-old wide
Yeah,
receiver elite money
yeah,
to
they
Cooper
get
Cup, and then they
what was
do
it?
it.
Was it like 23 mil or something?
I think it was 30. I think he got 30 mil with the
No,
Rams.
was it actually? I thought it was like 2 years, 46 mil.
Hold on.
They did not give him 30. There's no way.
I thought he got 30.
That'd be crazy. Good for him.
It's 2 year, 46 million.
Okay, yeah.
So 23, you were right.
But like so Cooper wants more than that, I guess, right? He has to, right?
But why not keep the guy that is already on your team and just pay him? Makes
No,
no
I know,
sense.
but like what I'm saying is did they offer him what they offered Devontae and he declined,
Maybe.
you know? I mean, it's hard to believe that they didn't offer him something around that area. It's going to be interesting though to see how Devontae Adams is able to mesh with Matthew Stafford and the Rams and how, you know, this might free up Puka Nakua even more. I mean, that dude, Puka to me
He's
is
very good. He's very
he
good.
might besides I would say him right now, him and Amon Ra are my two favorite receivers in the league.
I'd agree with that.
And Puka's just he's so elite and he's so good. And I think Devontae going there, it sure is a good replacement, I think, for Cooper Cup. I think Devontae can still play ball. if he stays healthy and he can produce for them. And then obviously, this is something else that I didn't think about for when we were talking about the Jets. Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson did play together in college at
Ooh,
Ohio State.
I forgot about that.
So there is some chemistry there already
We
for
got
the
some
New York Jets
reunions
now.
today.
Absolutely. But I will say this over and over and over and over again. We've already talked about this
Getting
in the
offensive
past
line.
episodes. Get offensive linemen, please.
I knew that's where you
That's
were
the
going.
key to success, man. It really is. Love what the Chicago Bears are doing right now, trying to get Caleb Williams all the protection he can get. And obviously, Ben Johnson's he seems like a guy that's going to succeed with them.
He
He
knows
seems
ball.
like it's a good fit. So yeah, and then obviously we have some deals going on where guys stay put. Maybe guys that we even thought were going to be on the move stayed put. You got Miles Garrett just getting
A bag.
in a speechless amount of wealth. Obviously, I can't even speak with how much
So
wealth
much
he's got
money.
now. You've got Max Crosby staying with the Raiders too, and then obviously from what we've heard, Chris Godwin taking a pretty big cut. They said that other teams were offering him like 20 million more than the Bucks did, and he decided to stay, likes what he's got with Baker down there, and yeah, staying with the Bucks. So
We
interesting.
we just got another one live.
We did.
It's a bit weird. Diami Brown to the Jags.
Oh,
Commanders
well,
wide receiver.
I, don't know why he would do that after the way he was playing with Jaden Daniels down the stretch. This is the Commanders
Yeah,
wide receiver we're talking about?
it is. He had a
I'm
good
surprised
postseason.
he would leave.
And also the
I'm
Jags,
surprised.
the Jags have holes. Receiver isn't one of them.
You know what though? Maybe I don't know. The Commanders now they have Debo, so they got to find a way to pay him. So maybe
That,
that had something to do with it.
that makes a bit more
But
sense. 1 year, 10
yeah,
million.
I mean the
Feels like a
Jags.
lot for
I,
him,
I
to be
guess
honest.
I guess the Jags could use some wide receiver depth, right? Just a little bit of depth. I mean,
I feel
Brian
like
Thomas
they have other
is
holes.
awesome. He's awesome.
LSU wide receivers are just different.
They're they're great.
Just
They're
draft an
great for
LSU
sure.
wide receiver and things will work out great. Look out for Kyron Lacey in this draft. Whoever lands him, he's going to be good.
He's gonna be good. And I think he obviously he's had a lot of off the field stuff going on, but I think is that gonna be cleared up? Are we gonna know about that stuff?
A lot of people have off the field issues going into the draft. He'll probably land in Philly and,
Yeah, that's true.
and it'll be fine.
They know how to turn guys around there for sure. They really
Sadly.
do.
Sadly, they
And then
do.
also, I just want to throw in, I know you're very disgusted with me because I'm a New England Patriots fan, but hey, Carlton Davis and Milton Williams, I like what we're doing on the defensive side of the ball, but offensive linemen, got to draft your offensive linemen for sure. So now I think this is a good time to transition into March Madness. Obviously, right now,
Love it.
today is Monday, March 10th, the day that we're recording this. So it's pretty much the start of conference tournament week. We're going to be going over like just predictions, who we like for each of the big conferences. And yeah, I mean, March Madness is going to be so fun. When the brackets come out, we're definitely going to give you guys our takes and opinions, and we'll show you guys our brackets as well. It'll be fun.
It'll be a lot of
So yeah,
fun.
let's get into it. And listen, I'm also going to say this. Shane, this is his area. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little less informed. Um, I haven't watched too much this year, but I've
See,
definitely been tuned in lately for sure.
this is how I was with the hockey stuff. You take
Exactly.
your strength is hockey.
hmm
College basketball is
Oh
my
yeah.
stuff. I
Oh,
absolutely love it, especially mid majors. So, got to shout out the teams that have already punched their ticket into March Madness. We got
yeah.
High Point, Lipscomb, Omaha, and Drake. And of those four, I absolutely love Drake.
I mean, those Bulldogs, that defense is outstanding. It's just
Well,
so good.
and I just love their story. It's a Division two
Hmm.
team. Like
Hmm.
their coach won the national championship in Division two,
Yeah.
signed, got a contract with Drake, brought over basically his entire team from Division two. So we have guys that have playoff experience, play elite defense.
Oh yeah.
Like we might be seeing
So
some
good.
some 55-52 games with Drake.
Yeah.
And I think they could
Hmm.
disrupt anybody. We have a
Yeah,
couple
they've
games today to decide
yeah.
another ticket being punched. We have Arkansas State versus Troy. Don't really know a
Okay.
lot about those teams. And
No.
then we have a game I'm actually really excited for. I probably will tune in. We got Furman versus Wooford.
Ah, okay.
And
Those are
Furman,
those are two teams that have some tournament experience. Obviously, like when you were listing those teams to me too, Lipscomb has been in the tournament
a couple
quite a bit
times.
too. So it's interesting to see like mid-majors and how some of them, and Drake too, obviously. It's interesting to see how like those teams, those mid-majors can get the job done and pretty consistently make the tournament. Yeah, the Drake is very good for sure.
If I was making the bracket, I think I would have Drake as a 12 seed.
Mhm.
They're one of the few teams that have won 30 games already this season. That is incredibly hard to do.
Oh
They've
yeah.
beaten Power Five schools. They beat Kansas State. Um, they beat a couple others in the preseason, but
Hmm.
unbelievably good team. We have Furman, who we didn't know each other at the time, but
Beat Virginia.
they beat Virginia. I had them beating Virginia. In my bracket, I was very outspoken.
I
Furman knows
think I
how to
did
win.
too. I feel like I had them too.
I was fresh off knee surgery,
I'd have to
laying in
double check
bed,
it.
unable to move, losing my mind when Virginia
Uh-huh.
just threw that ball at midcourt. Furman catches it.
Crazy. It
Three for the win. Loved it.
was awesome.
I did watch Wooford play yesterday just to get familiar in case they end up making the tournament.
Uh-huh.
They have a guy
Oh yeah.
that is the
That
epitome of mid-major college basketball.
that's a thing with mid majors too. Sometimes they just have a guy like Drake. They've got that guard Bennett Stritz, I think his name is, who looks really good. And that seems like a theme with mid majors. They got
It's,
one guy that's just blows you away, kinda, you know?
well, the guy I'm talking about isn't that kind of guy. He
Is
isn't
he
their
just
best player, but I see him at the free throw line and the commentators start talking. He shoots it underhand granny style and
oh,
is a 26% free throw shooter.
interesting. So
And
he's shooting it underhand and it's still not working.
I
Oh,
guess
that's a
last
problem.
year he was even worse shooting it normally. And I
Uh-huh.
just think that is the beauty of mid majors. You have a guy that can't shoot a free throw that potentially could be upsetting Kentucky in a couple weeks. And I love it.
That'd be pretty awesome.
So
Josh
that game will
Palmer
be
to the
fun.
Bills.
Saw that Josh
Ooh.
Palmer is officially a Bill on a
Uh-huh.
3-year, $36 million contract. Bills do need the help. So
Yeah, I mean, good player, good athlete. Yeah.
get Khalil Shakir some help.
Yeah.
So do you want to go
Uh,
in and start looking at some of these conference tournament brackets for the
yeah,
Power
I'm
Fives?
I'm down to hop right in. I think we talked a little bit about this before the podcast. I think the way that we're going to do this is we're going to really dive into the Big East and the SEC. Those seem like the two best conferences this year. And then we'll also give our predictions and opinions a little bit for, the other big conferences, the Big Ten, the Big 12. Um, so yeah, it'll be fun. We've got SEC bracket here pulled up for you guys too.
This
Stare at the
is an
screen.
absolute war.
This is the dogfight for sure.
And I just got to pull something up while we're looking at this bracket. It is, I've talked to Trevor about this. I think there's a case to be made that the SEC in basketball this year is the best conference in any college sport ever.
Hmm.
That is how good they are. They went 185 and 23 in non-conference play. That's ridiculous.
That
That
is
is,
unheard of. And with SEC teams too, their non-conference schedules are pretty good because of the reputation of that league, obviously. They're not
and
playing scrubs. And
it's
that
not college
record is
football.
no,
And they
it's not like that.
there's a lot of preseason tournaments where
Hmm.
you get SEC, you get Michigan State, you get
Yeah,
Gonzaga, you get Duke, and
really good programs.
185 and 23 as a conference is ridiculous. Any team can
Hmm.
beat any team. And to speak on the power of the SEC, I saw something this morning. 13 SEC teams, 13 of them have more ranked wins than Duke.
That is that is unheard of. Duke is the number one team in the country right now. And there's 13 teams in the SEC
More ranked wins.
that
It's
have
ridiculous. The SEC is
it's
special.
it's unbelievable. So yeah, I mean, this is a war right here, and I'm curious to see who you got in these matchups and who you got for the championship here, bud.
I've been staring at this a lot. There's going to be some upsets because of how even this conference is, but I'm going to roll with Auburn from the top half of the bracket to make the final.
Okay.
I know it's boring taking a one seed, but
They're so good though, you
they're
know.
they're that good. And they've lost their last two games. I think they get it together. They're going to be playing either Arkansas, South Carolina, or Ole Miss. And
Hmm.
I think that's a good rebound game for them. Um,
I do too. I think Ole Miss is good, but I think Auburn's better for sure.
and then we get to the bottom half of the bracket, and oh my, you got Georgia, very slept on. Missouri, they put up 61 points and a half against Bama.
Yeah,
Kentucky, Florida, who I think Florida should be the number one team in the nation. I'm sorry. They beat
Florida's good,
Auburn.
man.
They beat Auburn. They beat Duke. They beat Bama.
Yeah,
That to me, that's
I
number
think they
one.
just beat Ole Miss too,
They
pretty handedly too.
they've been destroying
Um,
teams, and
yeah,
it's funny. I was talking about how great Florida is. I don't think they make the final.
really.
Historically, teams that go deep into their conference tournament and win the conference tournament don't do well in March Madness, and I have them going very far in March Madness.
Hmm. That is a noticeable trend for sure.
I think it's just
Some
fatigue, extra games.
Absolutely, for sure. You get that extra rest, sometimes it's pretty good, for sure.
I'm going to take a bit of a sleeper here, and I'm rolling with Kentucky, the sixth seed.
Okay.
I love Alabama. They're probably my favorite SEC team. I love Mark Sears. They can't play defense.
Hmm.
I think Kentucky can get by that game, and then Florida has shown that they can just kind of turn off for a half. Um,
Yeah,
there was a game maybe a month ago. They were playing Georgia. They were down by 25 points in the first half to Georgia. Should never happen. Now, Florida did win that game, but if you turn off like that against Kentucky, they will run away.
sure.
With that being said, I'm taking Auburn. Boring. I'm taking the one seed, but I think
Mm.
Kentucky's going to make a run in the SEC tournament.
Yeah, I like can't remember it. What's his name? Otega Owe? Is that his
Otega
name?
Owe, yeah.
He he looks like an NBA player playing
Mhm.
college basketball. Like the body, the athleticism,
Kentucky gets
the
those guys though,
competitiveness. Yeah, I think they're primed for success for sure.
and that's why
Going
I have
going
them.
with
Sorry, continue.
going with the Tigers though over the Wildcats in the final. I like that.
I think
Do
it'll
a
be
lot.
close. I might even switch up depending on how it looks. I might take Kentucky to beat Auburn. They match up
Hmm.
perfectly. Auburn likes to attack inside. That's the strength of Kentucky's defense.
Yeah,
So we'll see. Who do you got?
man, this is tough. I can see, I don't know, 6 to 7 teams winning this
Oh,
conference, to be
easily,
honest. It's just
easily.
win and move on. And, it only takes one game for a big upset to happen. Out of the top half, I think it will definitely come down to either Auburn, Tennessee, or Texas A&M. I
I
think
agree.
those three teams are clearly the best out of the top half. I like I like Texas A&M. I really do. For some reason, watching them against Auburn, and then they also beat LSU recently, they had some losses, but if they can get over the hump and get past Tennessee and keep it rolling and have that momentum, I could see them beating Auburn again. Now, we've said before, beating a team multiple times is really difficult to do. It is. Um, I think that this conference is bound for chaos. It just is.
I was even gonna
And so,
say it's funny you like A&M. If I was gonna pick one of the first round teams, so seeds 9 through 16, if I was gonna pick one of them to go on a run, I was gonna pick Vanderbilt
mhm.
To beat Texas A&M, and Tennessee can struggle with scoring. I could see Vanderbilt beating them too.
Vanderbilt recently did beat A&M too. So I think they're definitely a threat too. I mean, some of these, like we said, Georgia too. Georgia's a good team that doesn't have the first round bye. You've got Arkansas, who's obviously struggling with injuries, but I mean, it's just all over the place. This
It's gonna
conference is
be a
so good.
war, and I'm ready for
Hmm.
Wednesday.
So I'm gonna go with the Aggies just to be
Okay.
a little different, a little fun. Um, think they're rolling like right now. I like their culture a lot. Um, and then in the bottom half, I agree with you. I think Florida is the best team here, and they're probably the best team in the conference too. Just with the quality of teams that they've beaten, it's just incredible. The problem is, I just don't see anybody beating them. I
And that
mean,
that's fair.
I don't think that Missouri beats them. I think Missouri makes it through that first round, probably playing Mississippi State. I don't think either of those teams beat Florida. And then it comes down to Alabama, Kentucky. I don't see either one of them beating Florida either. So I'm like forced to take the Gators going to the finals. It
Absolutely
feels
forced. So you got Aggies, Gators in the
I've
final.
got the Aggies and the Gators in the title game. And you know what? This is the fun in March Madness. You have some analysis, but you also have sometimes where you just lean towards a team.
There's no wrong answer here. Like, just
And
go with it.
and I'm gonna be honest, I'm feeling the pressure a little bit right now from my buddy Brendan Crawford, who is a Florida State Seminole ride or die fan. I'm gonna honor him here and go with the Texas A&M Aggies just because I know if I picked the Florida Gators, me and him would be having a lot of issues this week. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got the Aggies. I think though it's probably between Texas A&M, Auburn, and Florida for me. I mean, one of those three teams probably will win it, and I've got the Aggies. But hey, could see a team like Kentucky make a run, like you think, and
I'm
win it
actually
all. You
gonna,
could see Tennessee in there. You never know. So,
after further review,
are you doing a VAR check right
I
now?
am. I got the Wildcats beating Auburn in the final. I'm switching it up. I'm
All
rolling with
right,
Kentucky.
perfect.
I just think they match up perfectly. Kentucky can shoot. They play great defense.
Hmm.
And you brought up Mizzou, Florida. I think if that was at Mizzou, they could beat them.
Mizzou's, they've got a good atmosphere there
It's
for sure.
insane. Neutral
Yeah.
site,
Hmm.
I agree. I think Florida's taking it.
Yeah.
All right, ready to move on to the Big East.
Let's get into the Big East.
Probably my favorite conference.
Oh yeah, I mean this is
I
this
love
is
this
the epitome
conference.
of college basketball, right? The
I
Big
love it.
East, it's just the brand, the style, the culture. It's different than anything else. And I think one of the reasons why the Big East is so cool is because like there's not really a Big East for football, and I feel
It's
like
a basketball conference for
it's a
sure.
basketball conference and the culture is it's awesome and just great for college basketball overall. And obviously a lot of good teams too, for sure. Um,
So I was thinking smaller conference, we could just take this game by game.
yeah, for sure.
Providence, Butler. I'm rolling with the Friars. You know how
You
much
know
I
who
love the
I'm
Friars.
like, okay, so just to let everybody know here, I went to the University of Rhode Island from undergrad. So hearing that is just like it disgusts me.
I love the Friars.
The funniest thing ever, first semester, me and Shane getting to know each other, talking about college basketball. And he's like, you know what's the one team that I love in the nation? And they're
For
in the
no
Big
reason.
East
I just love them.
for no reason. And he says Providence. And I almost threw up. I hate that team so much. I'm rolling with Butler. Absolutely. Give me Butler. Go Rhodey. Just can't stand PC. I just can't.
I think we can agree that no matter who wins that, it's getting absolutely
Oh,
rolled by
oh,
the
a
Red Storm.
hundred percent.
But
100%.
Johnny's through to semifinal. But
Yes, we'll
we'll
throw
get
that
back to
in there
that.
too, for sure.
DePaul, Georgetown. Again, I think this is a matchup that I don't really think it matters who wins.
Hmm.
I'll lean Georgetown. They're better.
I do too.
Um,
I think
better
Georgetown is
coaching,
slightly better. Yeah. Hmm.
but Creighton takes that.
Totally agree.
Now, here's my dark horse of this tournament, the
You like the
Villanova.
Pirates? Oh,
No,
you like the
I I
Wildcats.
love the Wildcats. They
Okay.
have the leading scorer in the nation, Eric Dixon.
He's yeah,
Six
good
foot
player.
11, power forward, can shoot threes. I think he's over a 40% clip this year. He can get to the free throw line. He can drive. He is a complete scorer. Seton Hall can't score the basketball. They play good
Yeah, they
defense.
hmm
They can't score. Nova rolls there. So we've agreed St. John's is beating whoever in the quarterfinal.
whoever's in there. Yeah.
Marquette Xavier, I think,
Toss
is a
up.
landslide.
Really?
Marquette. I think Marquette rolls them.
Really? I think this is going to be close.
I'm
I
just
think
not
I
bought into Xavier at all.
I think Marquette wins, but I've got a close one
I
for
do say
sure.
landslide. The Big East is always close. So,
Yeah.
but I definitively say Marquette wins that.
I'll give
With
you a
that,
landslide, whoever Creighton plays. That's a landslide to me.
Steven Ashworth and Ryan Cockbrenner can dominate a game.
It's good. It's
You got a
good
six
basketball to
foot two
watch.
sharpshooter. I think he just broke the Creighton record with points in a season. And then you have Cockbrenner, who's like 7'8" for some reason and can shoot threes. They're dangerous. I got them through, and I'm gonna keep rolling with Villanova to beat UConn. I love Villanova, dude. I love their
That
team. And like
that
you
that's
mentioned earlier, college basketball, if a team has that one guy,
hmm
Eric Dixon is that one guy.
dude, for me, this is another game that is it's a toss up.
I'd agree with
Both
that.
teams both teams are really pretty good, and I'm just gonna give it slightly to UConn. Like the experience. Seems like they're healthier now. Obviously you got Liam McNeely leading the way for them. Freshman, just a superstar, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Um, I'm gonna take UConn, but interesting thing too is like I feel like the winner of this game, it's such a tough game that it could propel them to go on to win the whole thing for
I
sure.
think whoever wins that game beats Creighton.
I do
Um,
too.
just fed off momentum.
hmm
But we got St. John's Marquette.
hmm
I'm rolling with Marquette.
Okay.
They just lost to St. John's on a buzzer beater
Yeah.
yesterday, 2 days ago, some point this weekend. I forget when.
hmm
St. John's beat him in the first matchup. They beat him in the second matchup. Both games were close. One of them is going to go Marquette's way. This is it. I have Marquette in the final.
And we talk about this a lot too, the difficulty of beating a team after you've beaten them. It might even be more difficult to beat a team a third time, especially a quality team too. This isn't like we're not talking about a scrub here. Marquette's a good team.
They're a ranked
To be
team.
able to beat them three times, I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm going to go with the Red Storm. I just love the culture. I love the Patino culture. And I'm rolling with it right now. I mean,
Okay.
seeing St. John's and that program be successful, it's fun to see,
Oh, I
and
agree. So who
I
do you
think
have in the
that
final? I have
I've got St.
Marquette.
John's and UConn in the final.
I got Marquette and
Villanova?
Villanova, the 5 and the 6 seed. It's
Yeah,
gross. It's disgusting. That's what March is about.
but it's March, exactly. I totally agree.
And
It's March.
in that matchup, this is where Eric Dixon can no longer carry a team. I'm going to take Marquette to win the Big East tournament.
Mm-hmm. And I like that pick. I think Marquette's great. I really do. I think it's another situation too where like you look at the Marquette and St. John's game, that's probably a game where like there's so much momentum riding on that game that if you win that, you've got a really good shot going into the final for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Um, my matchup between St. John's and UConn,
That's a war.
St. John's,
That would be fun.
it would be fun. St. John's, have they played twice or only once this year?
They played
I'm not too
twice.
sure. They
Let
did?
me let me pull it up. They got to play twice. One at one
Yeah,
at
so they
each
they beat
school.
them both times. St. John's won um by 6 in the first matchup and then by
14.
14. Yeah.
That's
And
brutal.
I like that UConn's really healthy now. They've struggled with injuries, but Give me St. John's, man. Give me the Red Storm. Love to see them win the Big East.
I would love it. But yeah, this will be so much fun. And
Absolutely.
then let's move to the Big 12.
Oh
And we can
boy.
go, we don't have to go matchup by matchup here. I mean,
Are you
top
able to
half,
zoom in a little bit on it? Can you zoom in? Is that
sh
possible on
I don't think I can. Is it a bit
okay.
small?
Okay, that yeah, that one's good though. That's good. God, oh my. I mean, this is chaos again, isn't it?
It's chaos. I mean, the top half is a bit easier. BYU is
Hmm.
hot. They're on
Oh
fire.
yeah. Hmm.
But I don't think any team can beat Houston in that top half.
I agree. I totally agree. I think LJ Cryer leading the way for them. He's a great player.
They
Obviously, lots of experience too, which always matters in March.
they just slow
I
the game
agree.
down to a crawl. It's
It's
they love low scoring games
and
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 it's tough
I
to beat.
love I love programs that have a culture and identity that you can really see in the way that they play. And I think Houston brings that almost every year, it seems like nowadays, for sure.
So I got them in the championship and I'm rolling with the 3 seed Arizona Wildcats.
Hmm.
It's a team that hit a rough stretch. They did just lose to Kansas, but they have a team on them. If Caleb Love gets hot, there's no
It's
beating them.
special. Oh yeah, that offense is really hot for sure.
And I think if Arizona plays Houston, you kind of have it's a complete dichotomy. You
Hmm.
have Arizona that wants to run up the score, play quick, push, and you have Houston who likes to go very slow, focus on their defense.
Hmm.
And the winner of that is whoever can play the way that they want to play. If Arizona
Hmm.
speeds up Houston, Arizona wins. If Houston slows down Arizona, Houston wins.
And I feel like that's a big thing in March, especially. Like you got to be able to dictate the pace of the game
100%.
in order to win. Um, so yeah, I love those picks. I think it's going to be interesting to see Kansas against Arizona. Um,
That's preseason #1 in the nation, and Kansas
yeah.
did just beat them. Don't sleep on Kansas.
Hmm. I totally
But
agree. I think Houston dominates the top half of the bracket. Lower half of the bracket is a war. I'm gonna go with Kansas because, they avoid Houston and get there. I think it's probably between Texas Tech, Arizona, and Kansas. Like you said, Caleb Love is he's fun to watch. He really is.
he's special.
And when he's on and that offense is going, it's really fun to see. Um, I just think Kansas is they just beat them. I think they're going to continue that momentum. Texas Tech is good though too. They really are.
They're good.
And
I don't put them on the same tier as Kansas, Arizona, Houston.
mhm,
I'd even put
they've
Iowa State over them.
mhm. I'm going to go with Houston and Kansas in the final.
That
I
would
think
be
I'm going
a
to lock it in with that.
defensive war.
Yeah, which I love. I love watching the dog fights.
Mhm.
I think it could be pretty close, but I like Houston. I think they've got a good opportunity to get out of the top half. And when it comes down to it, when you're able to play defense at an elite level, that can really win you games in March
And I
for
think
sure.
they get to the semifinal easily, which I don't think any other team has an
Absolutely.
easy path. West
Hmm.
Virginia, TCU, Colorado, like they're through to the
Yeah.
semi.
Hmm.
And
So
that
I've got
leaves us
Houston beating Kansas in the
Houston
final.
beating Kansas. I like that. That
Hmm.
leaves us with one more. This
There she
one,
is.
this is the best one I could get, but
All right. So, I mean, I think obviously this past weekend, seeing what Michigan State did to Michigan was pretty eye-opening for sure. They're a
oh
good
yeah,
team that can make a run for sure. What are they now? Five in the nation, I
uh,
believe it is.
they're somewhere up there. They are head and shoulders above every other team in this conference.
Hmm.
Don't sleep on Purdue. Illinois is good. I
I think Maryland
love
is.
Maryland.
I like Derek Queen.
I was just going to bring him up. Derek Queen plays a
Hmm.
style that is perfect for March,
Hmm.
but I got Michigan State winning this relatively easily.
I do too. I think this conference is probably a little more chalky. I think Michigan State, Maryland go to the final. Maryland's lost a lot of close games this year. I think Tom Izzo gets it done. Michigan State Spartans win, and I'll probably have them making a run too if they have a good draw in the NCAA tournament for sure. They're on a roll right now. They look really good defensively too. Obviously, Tom Izzo is all about rebounding and defense. I've got the
They're
Spartans winning this one.
they're head and shoulders the best team in this conference.
Yeah.
But
Hmm.
it'll be fun. It'll be cool to look back on these predictions and see how they pan out.
Hmm.
But I think that's going to take us to the end. Any final thoughts, Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, great episode number 3. Um, Obviously going into sports psych stuff with anxiety, growth fixed mindset, and then heading into the current events. NFL free agency right now, it's a little chaotic to be able to analyze it just because so many guys are on the move. But once those guys get situated, we'll be able to dive into those teams that we think, did well with the market this year. And then obviously we've got March Madness coming up. We'll definitely be giving you guys an episode of us making our brackets and stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun for
Keep an
sure.
eye out for UC San Diego. Keep an eye out for Drake. Those are my two
Yeah,
Cinderella teams this year.
love it.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for listening and
Yeah, thank you
catch you
so
in the
much for
next
listening.
episode.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, give us suggestions on what we should talk about in terms of sports and psychology as well. And yeah, it's been great.